wavy beard.
90s to a T.
If I see champagne, I will call it champagne.
Oh, no, we got so many good episodes to watch.
Oh, wait, I'm getting it. Nope, changed my mind. Boo.
This is funny until you have it. No, but seriously, wave after wave of men.
In the future, there's an owl problem.
Sorry, but like, his name's Huge Ass.
Not sorry to listen to our podcasts.
I'm sorry. Blue whales on the moon. We carry a harpoon. God damn, I hate that we said that.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Ooh, succulent.
We need to pay Brian Blessed
the right
on the way
word?
out.
Succulent?
Succulent?
I'm taking what should be a
Stern?
taste,
Stern? Oh,
a taste
yeah.
adjective and putting it into the oral sense.
I tasted that.
Welcome, everybody, to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, the Futurama podcast that's adequately satisfactory. I am joined here with Phil.
Daddy Bender is the best Bender.
By James.
I think we should let the orphans run free.
By Josh.
Ink pouches are an excellent way of escaping.
By Sean. And stop going to Elzar's, you have a bad time.
Oh, yeah. That was joyous.
We're up to Season 3, Episode 9, The Cyber House Rules.
Is that a... What is that in referring to? Like...
I'm thinking Phil should know.
The Cider House Rules?
Yes, it is.
Which I don't think I've seen.
What is that?
Is it a movie about an orphanage?
So it's a movie about an orphanage. Oh my goodness. A movie about an orphanage, 1999, which has Tobey Maguire and Michael Caine.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is based on a book from 1985.
It's very famous. I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
It's where the quote that Bender uses in the episode, like, "Good night, you kings of Maine."
Oh, yeah. Men, you princes of New York.
New York.
Yeah, it's apparent. I don't think the New York
New
there is
England.
there, but
New England.
Yeah, New England, which means there's a New England
Yeah.
as well.
Does he say in the movie then Princes of Men and he's changing it?
It's slightly paraphrased. I know that much. I didn't have time to read the book, so
Right.
Yeah, you're pretty certain you're right there, though. 'Cause I do remember, like, a good night, you kings of men. It does sound...
Yeah.
So you've seen the film?
I know the quote.
Good film?
I know the quote.
Good film?
Good
quote? Good film?
I can guarantee
It's in my
you
top
anything.
10.
I can guarantee you anything. And I'm certain that's a good film.
It's in my top 10 of films I've never seen.
Yeah.
That'd be a really interesting top 10 to do.
Top 10 films you've never seen.
Top 10. Citizen Kane.
The Godfather.
Oh, you know, okay.
Never seen it.
Quick side note, I need to rewatch Citizen Kane because when I first watched it about 10 years ago, it was the most boring thing I've ever watched.
I'm sure you'll appreciate it much more
I'm
now.
sure I will.
That was me with Dead Poets Society the first time, and now it's one of my favourite films.
Carpe diem!
Yeah.
Josh!
English teachers forcing you to watch films don't help films.
Were you watching it and was like, where's the cane?
I was watching it and I
There's no
was
games.
with someone that I fancied at the time.
So you were preoccupied.
I was preoccupied.
I was also a little bit offended there in myself because you were saying Citizen Kane and I was thinking of Schindler's List and I was going to make a joke about the little girl in the red dress. I'm like, wrong film, Josh, wrong film.
Another film I haven't seen. Moving on. Director Susan Dieter, back from The Honking.
Dieter or like Dieter or what?
Dieter? Dieter. It's diet with another T-E-R.
Dieter.
Dieter. Susan the Dieter. Susan the Dieter, who was a storyboard artist for Open Season.
But we weren't
animation with like mooses.
But we weren't with
It's the one with like the bear and the moose.
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence.
So we haven't seen Schindler's List, but we have seen Open
Season.
And we won't hold it against her because that film is not good. But this work is good. Also, I never got to say, I genuinely love The Honking. It was the thing that got me back into Futurama.
I love The Honking.
Got me back into Futurama. I hadn't watched it for years, and then I watched that, and I was like, I'm back on board.
I wanted The Honking. Honk. Writer is Lewis Morton, back from Amazon Women in the Mood, the episode that doesn't quite hold up.
But it's still well loved, yeah.
Who went to the same primary school as Futurama creator David X. Cohen.
Oh.
4 years apart, so probably not the same year.
I was going to say, did they have a little crush? You know?
Yeah.
Have a little crush.
Yeah. Like little kids have crushes.
Little primary school crush.
Yeah, little
I'm thinking when he was in
crush.
year 12, he would put his the year 8's head in the toilet, and it's like that's where they learned to love one another.
So they got into comedy.
Slapstick.
Funnily enough, the air date was April 1st, 2001.
Bit of a joke.
There's no April Fool's style jokes in this
No,
though. That's great.
none at all. Which they've been pretty good with that because they've had.
They don't know when it's going to end.
They've had love episodes on Valentine's Day. Why wouldn't you
They
put
moved those around, though.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Maybe they just said there was going to be a Futurama episode and just didn't air it on that day.
Maybe.
Or they could have done the Rick and Morty thing and just played that one episode over and over and over and over again on April 1st.
Introducing Warden Vogel, who was a grade 135 bureaucrat.
bureaucrat, yes.
Yeah.
And a gold badge as
Gold
well.
badge, yeah.
He had a gold badge, did he?
Yeah, he
They
was
meant to have silver. silver, aren't they?
Yeah, he was a gold badge.
Maybe gold is shit. He's like got the same kind of aesthetic as the children that he is helping, really.
Yeah.
He's quite poor.
He's not
Love that I call poor an
bureaucratic.
aesthetic, by the way. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Anything can be an aesthetic if you really try hard enough.
Garbage. Garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, you're worthless and nobody loves you. I used to say this to me all the time.
Philip, do you want to run down the ploticus?
Yeah, because that's my job now.
Apparently.
I'm apparently good at plot synopsisizing. A baby is left on the doorstep of Planet Express. Except it's not a baby, it's just a card from the old orphanarium, which we only found out after Bender steps off.
The baby what?
So there's a reunion at Leela's orphanarium. So she is convinced to go back there with Bender and Fry so she can rub it in how successful she is, because she was teased a lot. Turns out she still gets teased, but her old crush offers to give her a prosthetic eye so she can be normal. She decides this is a good idea. Fry doesn't like it. And meanwhile, Bender becomes a dad to 12 kids he adopts.
Another suspicious endeavour, side endeavour.
And obviously money is the motivation for that. Leela has a lesson to learn about being special.
Being true to oneself.
Yes.
And Fry has the greatest I told you so moment as well.
Oh,
Immediately gets shut down.
What do we think, guys?
Really good episode.
I like this episode.
Really good.
What is the boyfriend's name?
Adlai.
Adlai.
Adlai?
Adlai.
Adlai
A-D-L-A-I.
Okay.
Adlai.
Technically Adlai, but Adlai.
And they refer to him as completely average. There's so much alliteration when it comes to Adlai Atkins being average and adequate.
Anally
So good.
retentive.
Adequately, averagely.
I would have accepted Aaron A. Anderson.
Aaron A.
Although there is that kind of moment because there's a Bender B. Rodriguez referred to later on, so we got to go the BB at least.
Yeah. No, he's completely boring. Like but that's just like
That's the point of
That's his
him.
point.
Yeah.
But like he has this like amazing voice from like
Like
the
a really
50s.
50s
He
kind of...
feels like he should be selling me like cigarettes as a doctor.
Yeah.
These babies are great. Smoke them 12 times a day.
Can you tell it's Tom Kenny? SpongeBob?
Really?
Wow.
That's awesome.
I thought it was Billy West.
Nah.
I thought it was Billy West like just going like, I am perfectly average.
It's Mr.
And everything.
SpongeBob.
It has some like it has a great aged quality.
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, 50s. Well, you should smoke a little bit more. It's good for you.
He just stands in that kind of 50s Doctor Who with his
Pelvis
hands
out.
in his pockets, pelvis
And
thrust
his
forward.
toned down Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Which is the most terrifying piece of clothing I think I've seen.
It's just
great.
It's funny to get the voice of SpongeBob underplaying every single line he has.
Yeah.
He never raises his voice, never accentuates anything. It's just everything's adequately satisfactory.
Yeah, you're 999,999 out of a million. It's like, aww.
Aw.
And average, please.
Average. Yeah, I think that's the thing though. Like, he is a completely boring character, but he's such a charming, wonderful character that it makes the boring lovely. It's weird. Like,
There's something about the jokes they make around it,
Yeah.
the way they double down on it, and they find creative ways for him to be average. And I think the idea of him going to a tailor to tone down his Hawaiian shirt really, I think, is the quintessential kind of averageness joke
It's
in that.
too
It's-
loud.
It's so lovely that he has a black and white Hawaiian shirt.
I wonder
And
if
he's
think
clearly
about it.
using it to boast. Hey, I was just toning down my shirt. Did you notice?
He's so honest though. I don't think he brags. I just think it's like, I just want to exist and everything's great. And that's what makes him so appealing as a character.
Yeah. And he goes, what is it? I don't know how to say this, so I'll just say it. Okie dokie. See you later.
And that was the thing I was thinking of. And also, he just gets to the point. He's like, I don't know what to say. Would you like to go out for dinner with me? It's like...
There's no bullshit, right?
His character is making fun of, like, is Futurama making fun of all romantic episodes of, like, oh, I gotta work hard. It's like, oh my god, you're so beautiful. It's like, no, just be yourself and
Ask
confident.
for what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just...
Even if you are completely average, just be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's an attractive quality.
and how comfortable he is in his fundamental flaw.
yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
like, I don't like anything to be slightly out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
because that's just the way things are.
Well, that's not average enough.
I mean, he gets like a little bit nasty, like, but it's only ever so slightly at the end when
The
he
smile.
says, "Well, I suppose if you were fine when you had your one
Yeah.
eye, then
Yeah.
it's a little bit sarky.
It's
a
his
little bit
following
acid.
line. Ooh, why would I do that?
The audience has to side with Leela and push him away, so he gets a bit nasty. But it's not.
What
it's not
happened
his
to
general
Adlai?
mode of being?
What happened to him?
Yeah, he's a product of, like, belonging. Like, if you really look at it, like, he's an orphan and he's just trying to belong, and being normal allows someone to belong in the larger sense.
yeah.
So the idea of standing out in an orphanage is a terrible idea because you'll get picked on, like Leela. So if you just belong in a sea of billions of faces, you're safe.
Yeah.
I just got very
Yeah.
psychological
Yeah,
deep
no,
on it.
Who have you been insulting recently?
Oh, let me get the list.
I think it's a great piece of writing to turn what is essentially like a foil for a Leela story, right? A Leela self-acceptance story. Turn that into a really funny running gag and a kind of notable character in himself. Go, well, she wants to be normal. Let's give her a normal love interest. Let's run with that so far that it becomes this focus.
Yeah, if you really
of
want
these gags.
normal, you're going to get
Normal. Yeah.
I love that they managed to do two different things, which is they say it is okay for you to want to be quote unquote normal. Like you're allowed to,
fit
if
in,
you
right,
want to change yourself, you are completely within your rights to do that. But also, if you want to be different, that's totally fine too. Like
Yeah.
they don't look down on either decision. They only look down on it as a sense of someone else telling you that you can't do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The summary of the episode is you do you, babe.
Because Fry, we sort of agree with him. Yeah, we like Leela how she is. We love Leela. She's the person we got used to. But you're right. What's wrong with Fry in that situation is him insisting that he knows better than she does.
Yeah.
Both sides are at fault when people go, you should do it. And people go, no, don't do it. Ultimately, it's up to her. I really like that exchange where he says, you shouldn't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
And she says, fine, that's a great idea. Starting with you.
Although I love that it's like, and I suppose you were fine when you had one eye? Damn right. Cut to Fry on the toilet. Yay!
Shut up, Fry. There was another thing as well in this episode, like contrast to the previous episode where Fry and Leela felt like an afterthought and it was just basically Bender and Zoidberg. This one felt like everyone was fleshed out, even like the little bits that they were in. Every single character had a purpose and a reason for being there.
Well, there's a B plot that stemmed from the A plot as well.
B plot's
Yes.
fantastic.
Bender's
Yeah.
story
I
stemmed
want to
from.
get onto the B plot. I've been waiting to get onto the B plot.
Yeah.
'Cause for me, it's the
B plot's
whole
so-
attraction of this episode. I mean, I don't quite agree with what you're saying, though.
Okay.
I think like Amy and Hermes and the Professor are all there for little one-shot gags.
Yeah.
Not really fleshed out. I'm
Well,
not
Farnsworth had
complaining.
two gags this one as well,
Yeah.
which is nice as well.
Before
not
we get on to the
complaining,
B plot, Farnsworth holds my most hated joke of this entire episode because it's too blatant and it's too obvious and it's too simple and easy where he says, I suppose you're probably sick of people looking at you, and then Farnsworth forget, and I don't care that he's forgetful and the old man, it's so just lazy.
So he immediately looks at her and goes, ooh.
I like that though, because it's like morons gawking at your eye, and it's like he knows that he's a moron. For all of his intelligence, he still knows that he's a bit of a moron.
But I reckon the joke that they do a minute later is a better way of doing that sort of immediately set up and immediately pay off, which is Zoidberg saying, like, wanting about people attacking him, and that's why he's got his glands, and Farnsworth says, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard, I should start beating you. Natural conclusion, he gets inked. That I thought was more clever.
And there's two rule of three. I just realized there's a second rule of three joke in this.
I thought you were talking about the ink
three
one.
inks.
There's three inks, and there's three Kurt the blind guy. The first, the ink one doesn't land very well. Like the first one is hilarious, and then the second one I was like, and then the third one I'm like,
like,
okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Kurt is just like, look at old one eye.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Kurt.
Kurt.
And
I
it's
just wrote
great.
him down as blind guy.
And
Whoops.
it's great because he doesn't get that. And then in the second one, and I knew it was coming, and I just loved your reaction, James, when it was just like, it's like, look at old blind eye. I was like, well, shut up. And it's like, he can't hear you, he's deaf. I was like, how does he know? And then the third one, Leela just runs into him and is just like,
Puts
How
his
does
hand
he
on his
know
face.
that's Leela?
like that rule of three was so good because it just escalated, payoff.
My theory
His
is he has,
response is just, oh.
Yeah.
he has a great sense of smell.
He knows.
Yes.
He
The
can
smell
smell
of
He never
Leela.
forgets a smell.
Can we?
Okay, you're bursting.
Yeah,
Start us off. Go.
Bender.
I love everything about Daddy Bender in this episode. He is so adorable while being the worst father possibly. Every couple of days, it's we want food this, we want food that.
It's crazy that like the kids have obviously been in an orphanage that's been terrible, and they're happy with anything.
Yeah.
They're just happy to be out there, happy to have a dad, and it's terrible, but they're kind of happy when they love him.
Well, what's the line? Like, our dad's a giant toy.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're gonna hug you. It's
like,
he goes,
have
oh, I've got half a mind to hug each and every one of you. Yeah.
And even like that bar scene is like the best example of it as well because he's giving them just what they want, an outlet. You just see them like breaking shit,
Yeah.
and like little girls like, Danny hit me, pulls the baseball bat out and hands it to her, bigger than her, and she runs away. They're like, yay! It's like,
Also,
God.
Bender holds a bat with him
Yeah.
at all times because
Yes.
he'll use it.
and a new feature. kind of building on the hot water feature.
Where does it go? Where does the poo go?
That's an Envy reference, isn't it?
Oh.
I'm gonna assume maybe he's got like a little hole at the bottom of his foot. And it pipes down.
I think that it repurposes it into like just oil for himself. So it's like breaking it down the waist and then like it goes into the system.
It's a much better visual than just leaking out of his feet
Yeah.
onto the ground.
If they had showed that though, that would have been hilarious. If he's just standing there and it just shows that like the ground is getting wet around him.
Well, I think Sensible would have something to say about that.
It just flushes for so long as well. He does it and it goes
And he's got
around and around.
he's got this weird look to it.
Yeah, he's like
He's like eyes twitching. And he's got a weird
super
smile.
expressive again with little facial motion.
Yeah, that expression is, I've never had to do this before.
Yeah.
He also feeds them cats.
Yeah. The cat shell is onto me.
Yeah, can we have Bender burgers again?
Also, he was about to sell them to a Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like they pull him in for like selling children as livestock and misrepresenting the
Presentation of
weight of
weight.
livestock.
Yeah. So he like lied about how much they were.
Well, it was like mistreatment of children, malnourishing of children, serving cats to children, serving children as food, and
Misrepresenting children as
Yeah.
livestock. Yeah.
Oh, the cops as well. I haven't seen them in a
Hey,
while.
Smitty got his job back.
Yeah,
Which is good. Yeah, he's back on the force.
I mean, we assume, like, because in that episode he was still wearing his cop uniform and doing cop things, right?
Oh, very true.
He could still be off the force and just doing cop things.
well, like to be fair, like they kind of let him go.
Did we figure out why they let him go? Why was he fired?
Well, because he was arrested by someone off duty. Like, if he's not a cop, let's let him go. Because, like, I'm assuming what the term was.
Oh no, Bender. They came to an agreement that if he, I guess, because he gave a donation to the orphanage.
The donation was the money he was getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,200 wingwams.
But he was getting 1,200 wingwangs.
Because
every week.
Bender said it, I thought it was colloquial. But then when Vogel said it, is wingwangs a currency?
Maybe.
I think he just said, "Here, I'll give you these kids and 1,200 wingwangs," and he just repeats it back.
I like that wingwangs is like another bit of currency. It's dollars and wingwangs.
And that kids are a donation to an orphanage.
Yeah.
Thank you for donating
He's so
these
happy
kids.
to have these orphaned
Because
kids.
they didn't have any orphans. It means he would have been out of a job if he didn't have any
That's
orphans.
true. Yeah.
There's this whole running thing about like selecting orphans as like used cars as well. It's so really great.
And it's like she has like a banner that says "as is."
As is, yeah.
She's a little rough, but she's so filled of that emotion that I understand is called love.
Now, you guys will be able to answer this better than me because I've only got one ear. I'm deaf in my right ear. What do you reckon it would be like to have the hearing out of the
Do you think
third?
it's functional?
Would it, like, if it is functional, say it's functional, would that be fucked?
It would be, but I don't think it was functional. I think it was just like an ear that has no connection. Because
it would have no canal.
because
I reckon you'd be enhanced though if it did hear. You
Like,
get
what if
ears
someone
from
just
three
yelled at your
directions.
face? Like,
I don't know. I guess maybe it wouldn't help that much because otherwise we would have evolved to have central ears as well.
it's also like I don't think it works though because just like this one in particular because Bender's very close to her, like right near that third ear, and speaks, and she doesn't react in any way.
that's what I was going to
Good
ask
point,
because he
good point.
yells at them about, I
Yeah.
just fed
But
you
maybe
the other
she's
day, and
deaf.
she was the first one there.
Deaf in one ear.
deaf in one ear. It's the front one.
Daddy's sick of looking at you. Go to bed.
She's my kindred spirit then. Also, hate
has a
that
tail.
kids can fall asleep within 3 seconds. Fuck them.
Yeah.
It's 10 a.m.
They just bounce for 3 and then fall asleep. I'm like, I hate you
That's what-
that
that's
you
what-
can do that.
That's
Yeah.
what malnourishment does to you, Sean.
I'm-
You get sleepy all the time.
You can get to sleep straight away. Just don't eat.
Just don't eat. Did you hear that, guys? Don't eat. Get better sleep.
Yeah.
There's
It
also
works.
there's two really good like little side gags, and Zoidbag has a great one in this one as well. It's like
Zoidbag.
Zoidbag.
It's like a derogatory term for him. Oh,
You
what a
Zoidbag.
He's the jerk bags I work with.
Hello, jerkbags. But Zoidberg, like, he's like, oh, you might want to watch out for him. He's a doctor. They're notoriously poor. Actually, doctors are quite rich. What? Since when? That's not funny. And the evidence locker. Can we adopt one of them? It's like, yeah, you may as well. They're going to rot in the evidence locker.
It's like kids as objects
Yeah.
is a really running theme in this thing. You own them or you pass them around, right? Like
Yeah,
a lost and found.
It's weird because in one of the deleted scenes, because when they first had the kids in the locker in the prison with them, I was thinking, why are they in there with him? They tried to explain it where what had happened was Bender had ratted them out to the cops through an anonymous call saying that they were in on it.
Jesus.
Smitty and Euro will say, oh, we got an anonymous call, like, saying they were in on it. And then Bender just whispers to him, sorry, Daddy can't go down for prison alone.
It's like he used
not
this one
necessary.
phone call to rat.
I think it's just as fun that the police are just incompetent and just like, I'll shut them all in a cell.
Evidence locker.
There was a weird-
knowing they're gonna rot.
There was a weird error in the episode that kept happening as well. That like it got on my nerves just a little bit near the end.
Is it Leela's eye moving?
Leela's eye starts moving quite constantly, especially, and it's quite significant after they make the point that the other eye can't move when Adlai shows up. It's like,
What are the rules for her eye, right? So it's got its own eyelid. She can
But it's
blink.
grafted from her foot.
Skin from her foot, but it's
And-
made from paraffin or something,
And
he
it's
says?
drawn on as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the eyeball is drawn on.
So she clearly has
The
no
iris.
feeling in that eye either, which she didn't seem to anyway with her one eye because she can blatantly.
She poke it.
yeah, that was-
All of us were like,
How they like? Okay, but I don't understand is. She had one big eye,
Yes.
and now she has a small eye.
Yeah,
how'd you
I
get the big eye? Like, wouldn't it make more sense to somehow try and make
Split?
split them into two?
Well, because what are they? Because
makes
they
no
haven't
sense.
kept.
Makes
so
no sense.
They've
Yeah.
moved that eye anyway,
over, right,
Because so they've moved it and shrunk it.
yes, it makes no sense how they've done it. It's very effective plastic surgery.
I mean, granted, it's 1,000 years so, but still, let's dissect this.
Couldn't they just install like another, like a replica eye?
Or I was thinking, why don't they just like give her like an eye transplant? So they
Yeah.
take the big eye out and then they give her two working eyes. Yeah.
Oh my
maybe
god!
that's why it works because she's like, this is shit. Give me a
Give me a
working
proper
eye, thanks.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice visual gag where it droops and then falls on the floor.
That was funny.
But yeah, there's no consistency about whether that eye is allowed to move or not.
Also, Adlai is the character that made me realize the majority of Futurama characters don't have eyebrows.
Doesn't he know?
Well, can't unsee that.
The majority of Futurama characters are drawn without
Wait,
eyebrows.
Who has eyebrows?
Adlai,
Fry.
no,
No,
Fry
he
doesn't.
doesn't have
Fry
eyebrows.
doesn't.
He's
Leela
got
doesn't.
the pronounced brow, that's right.
He's got massive eyebrows. The only person in the crew that does is Hermes.
yeah.
Hermes has very thin ones. You might think Farnsworth does, but it's just the crease in his head.
He's
Yeah.
so
That's so
really.
weird.
Doesn't Amy?
Nope. She did it on her eye.
Oh,
That's eyeshadow, yeah.
So really, he's not average.
No. He's a freak.
He's a freak.
Irony.
Absolute
Yeah.
freak.
Eyebrow and
Ah.
The people that are
that's highbrow humor.
like the worst murderers and hate,
highbrow humor.
they let's say they kill people with red hair, but they're redheads themselves because they hate themselves. I took that to a really dark place,
Right,
but the
yeah,
point is,
really did.
Adlai hates himself because he's abnormal.
Yeah.
Oh my
He's the
God.
only one with eyebrows. Yeah.
Also a doctor who specializes in eye surgery, branching out to removing ears. That was the other thing that just got okay.
I don't think he does know how to do it. That's just his brain's like, no, we'll make him normal. We'll make him normal by all costs.
That's the serial killer part. Yeah, normal at all costs.
So this episode is a message episode, right? And normally that kind of thing is kind of annoying to me. I don't mind it in this. I quite like it. What do you guys think of the message? The central
Well,
message
it got
of this
nominated for an
episode?
award
like it.
for its portrayal of the disabled. So
Right, yeah,
it won a
yeah.
Media Access Award, which recognizes positive portrayals of
Yeah.
the disabled and people with disability. Didn't win, but it was nominated.
Well, like, how can you hate on a message of just be yourself?
Be yourself. Don't be ashamed of
you know,
your,
just,
your
like, if you want to change. If you don't,
you have the right to decide what is right for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fry is the everyman in the situation. It's like the telling people, it's like, you're okay, be okay. And it's like, I don't feel okay. It's like, no, you're okay, be okay.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, and that's just as annoying and offensive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But she finds out for herself in the end.
Yes.
And he's like, he's like, shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
There's also a second message, a really wonderful hidden message in there. And that's a package is just a box until it's delivered.
so true.
It's such a wonderfully delivered,
never
awful
thought of
one.
it
The
that way.
grin on the writer's face when he would have come up with that.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like they got into like a session and they were just like they were all drinking and they're just like, what's like the most like normal boring thing to say, and we'll get him to say it in like the most charming way imaginable.
I can guarantee there's a delivery company out there that stole that slogan. Oh,
yeah.
and is using it.
I certainly hope so.
There are a couple. I find this episode really funny as well. There was lots of gags in it that I really liked. It's really dumb. They unwrap the bandages after the surgery,
The fake
and they
reveal.
have like the really like suspenseful music. And that must be a specific reference to something. It must be.
ER maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's got this really awesome tense music, and it's just this blonde lady. Everyone's like,
Oh,
Don't they do that in The
sorry.
Simpsons,
wrong
though?
patient. It's a good gag. You could do it
familiar.
again.
Wait,
It feels familiar.
Futurama taking a joke from The Simpsons?
I know. But I swear they do it.
Also,
It's such a dumb gag.
also Morbo in pajamas. So I gave the cookies
Good
to the
morning,
kids, and
Earth.
they
I
just loved
really
them.
wish like he didn't like know the camera was running. I really wish it was a no, we'll destroy you. Like he's like, had like a panic, he had to go back into his mode.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, excuse me for a second.
Yeah,
Like I wanted,
more like a sweetheart.
But I
yeah,
it's a persona.
yeah. I wanted it to like he not want that to get out. That's funnier than excuse me for a second.
Yeah.
I'll yell at him.
Baby Leela, she is adorkable.
So cute.
Adorkable.
So adorable.
Can't even
with
see her
her
in the
little
photo.
glass,
If I
a
wish.
little like
She was it
monocle glasses
Cootie
thing.
Town.
Yeah,
She's
Cootie
Cootie
Town.
And she's got like a side ponytail.
Yeah.
And oh yeah.
It's so cute.
I really like the I really like the montage as well when she's like free with two eyes and she's
Pretty
like,
woman.
yeah,
Leela's monocles.
yeah, she throws out all her monocles and then like gets two pairs of sunglasses, binoculars
From iRobot?
and like iRobot, yeah.
Yeah.
And she gets like a
bit-
theater opera glasses
yeah.
as well.
Runs
She's
runs
like-
into mum's three sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they had them there purely just for the
The three.
yeah, the Three Stooges, kind of
which was
joke,
good.
yeah.
I'm like, if anyone could appear for that, I'm like, I'm glad it's them.
I like, what was it? Cookieville Minimum Security Orphanarium.
Yeah, they really dump on orphanages.
Yeah. And then there's
It has a warden, not like
and the building is renamed the Bender B. Rodriguez Orphanarium. Yeah. Oh, and that ending, like I love it. Just like at the end of the episode, because Phil was just like, "That is the best ending to any Futurama
It
episode
is.
ever."
It is one of the best
Yes.
endings.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
hate you.
sweet.
I hate you all.
while he's being hung.
Yeah.
Scrunches it up and it's like, oh no, and then it's just so sweet.
Yeah,
and it
and
gets tackled.
Sticks it with a like a banana magnet
Yeah.
to the inside of his
And
bill.
usually
So
you'd
cute.
expect it to end there. You'd expect it to end there, and it's like the kids don't know how much he loves them, but
Yeah.
he loves them. And then just the kids just laughing and just jumping on him. I was like, oh, this is genuinely a nice
It would have
ending.
been. I would have been like, oh, that's kind of like bittersweet.
Yeah.
If they didn't know, but the fact that they know, it's like,
Yeah.
They've got.
it's
hope.
so yeah. They're in an orphanage. It sucks, but they got kind of someone who loved them. Really,
Yeah, I think Bender he did in his own
He did.
crappy way.
in
loved
his
them.
He
weird
enriched
way.
their lives.
Yeah, I think so.
Daddy
I think
Bender.
so.
Daddy Bender.
They just, I think partially it's the way they adore him. Like, it just makes
Yeah.
it so lovely. The way they follow him about and
Well, because Bender loves praise.
Also, I know any like psychologist or children's advocate is going to look at that and go, Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, probably.
Well, I mean, it's from one Stockholm syndrome to another Stockholm syndrome, from the orphanage to the Bender. And
Look,
also,
guys, they just have a shitty existence either way you look at it. Really,
Fry's mum.
Fry's mum. Oh,
Yeah,
Fry
yeah.
is mum.
Come on, mum.
Come on, Mum.
yeah, hang
And
on.
he complains when they're running when he can't make a profit off them. He's like, "No, there goes my new kitchen cabinet."
Yes. Also, just the dog pile on Fry. It's like, can't we just settle for a dog pile on Fry? It's like, I didn't agree to just everyone.
I need
God,
a calculator.
I need- damn
I
it.
am one. A good one.
Good calculator. And obviously, because he's doing bookkeeping, he has to have a little bar.
Yeah.
It's the little details, I think.
Yeah.
Owls.
I love it when
Owls.
when Bender runs a business out of his like apartment. You know when he was running the dating website.
Yeah.
out of his-
He's already running a business there as well. Used
it's like-
stolen car parts.
Yeah.
Boutique stolen car parks and orphanage written in crayon.
It has to be like a hot spot for the cops to check every now and then. Surely
Yeah.
they know
I
about
think they
that
just
place.
keep raiding it.
He just new business.
He
each time.
never changes.
Yeah.
Like we look, give it 3 months, he'll have a new one. We'll
Yeah.
come then.
And there was a one I almost asked you to stop it because James and I both noticed like the article that's on the door, and you just got very like.
I need
what's
to
it
see
say?
it. It's like I
What's
could
it
see it
say?
for like
It's about
1
Fry.
second. It's about
Oh,
Fry
you know
being
what it is?
unfrozen.
You know what it is? It's I remember reading this. It is something to the effect of primitive man discovered in cryotube. Because one of the things I always thought about, which was surely it's big news that someone from the year 2000 is in the year 3000.
Yeah.
It was newsworthy.
There's loads of people in those cryotubes, though.
Until
there's
Fry
so
starts
many.
working there and just defrosting people like
Yeah.
willy-nilly.
But maybe this guy's averagely stupid.
Yes.
So
Adequately stupid.
Adequately
Yeah.
stupid.
And you've got that brain thing.
Yeah,
I did
okay.
already.
Okay, that's the one thing I wanted to bring up. Is Farnsworth just calling him an idiot, or does he know about the delta brainwave? Because he shouldn't.
He could know.
He can't because it got wiped.
Oh well, Fry told them. Fry told.
Yeah,
so,
no one believes it.
But no one believes him.
So maybe it's like the fact that when
so
he's
either
saying the brain
Farnsworth
thing,
have come around to it.
No, but Farnsworth could still know about his abnormal brainwaves without believing those abnormal brainwaves saved the
Farnsworth
planet.
is a scientist, and like Fry's in his in his family. Like
He
he
would have just done tests on him
Yeah.
because he was bored one day.
or he knows that the brainwaves are abnormal, but is unable to know of the delta brainwave.
The missing delta.
Yeah, the missing delta brainwave. So if, like,
Although
if
I
you
do love Fry's response with, I already did.
How many times we touched on Elzar's already?
Yeah.
How many times do you think Bender has run out of a check on Eldar.
I think how many times has he not?
Yeah.
I mean, like, why does he keep giving him a table?
No,
I don't know.
like he already. I think the first time it was like, oh, this is an overzealous fan. I don't want him anywhere near me.
Yes.
So like, Elzar has never had a good experience with Bender, let alone the whole entire crew. They either get arrested, they don't pay the bill.
I'm gonna go with Elzar is like a Krusty the Clown knockoff. As in, like, remember Krusty the Clown in The Simpsons had, you could like, different states had Krusty the Clowns.
There's different Elzars.
There's different Elzars for different restaurants.
Oh,
and everyone plays an Elzar.
That would actually be a good idea.
Yeah.
It's like they would explain
And it's
why
like-
they keep getting a table.
And meet your own Elzar. That sounds cool to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone's like playing an Elzar.
Also, he'll make cutie muffin gumbo if he catches them. It's like
I read it.
more children eating.
Yeah, I like Fry. I always like Fry's formal get-up.
The brown.
Yeah.
I love
He's
it.
a lovely brown jacket on. He
He's
wears every
quite the
time.
attractive man when he's wearing that
is.
formal
When
getup.
he's done up, it's really good.
Did
Yeah,
you
no,
date Adlai?
No.
No?
No.
Dear God, no.
If you didn't know his personality.
I think it's pretty hard
That's-
not to see it.
That's generally how I decide whether I'm going to date someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is on their personality. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
you're in a club. He somehow found himself in a club.
Okay, you know what?
Drinking water
Okay.
in the well-lit part
You
of
say
the
Yes.
club.
I can't have a conversation with him.
No, you have to be like,
Hook up with him or not?
Am I going to hook up with this person?
So is your question,
right
would we
now?
date him or would we hook up with him randomly in a club?
Hook up randomly.
Yeah, he's attractive.
Is he? He's very average. I'm guessing he's average looking.
Yeah, but if you have a couple of drinks, doesn't matter.
Average,
Tall
probably
doctor, you
average.
There was one other thing.
I wouldn't kick Adelaide out of bed. He'd get Adelaide.
Adelaide.
That was one thing. Fry has a genuinely dislikable moment. Like the one moment you can actually dislike Fry in this. Adelaide asks Leela out, and Leela says, yeah. And Fry's like, I liked you when you were normal. Why didn't you date me?
It's like, calm down.
yeah, it's like, dude,
Yeah.
calm the fuck down.
At least he admitted. She's like,
Yeah.
you're just jealous. No, I'm not. Wait, I am.
yeah, it's remarkably self-aware.
It's just that line that he says beforehand. I'm like, oh man, Fry, this is the thing I don't like about you. It's like, you're not entitled to anything.
And he's also like half an arm's length away from her when he says it. It's like getting right off, like, I liked you.
Yeah,
I feel like that, like one of those lines was like for the audience, where it's like I'm not jealous. What I am. It's like, audience, remember when you're in this position,
Yeah.
you are jealous.
Don't do that thing.
Yeah, just admit you're jealous and stop.
yeah, exactly.
They give him, he kind of learns his lesson, I guess.
Yeah.
And she gives him a hug and says, hey, you're a true friend. And their relationship is first and foremost a friendship. And that's the core thing that we learn about them as they go on. Yeah, they have this dalliance with romance, but they're keen to establish that first and foremost, they are friends, and Fry genuinely cares about Leela's feelings and wanting her to
It
be
could have
happy.
gone down the wrong track. It could have been like an episode where like he's trying to sabotage them, and it would have been like, oh
yeah.
my god,
Yeah, that
It
would-
is, it's super important to know that they have dated at this point as well.
Yeah.
Like they've gone into the relationship territory and they've still got, it has a tendency to be a very tenuous friendship because they've got a history behind them already. You've got to be really careful about how you approach the friendship going forward. Things like the way he discusses her with Adelaide and things like that could easily just break off that friendship right there and then.
Yeah, he could do something quite easily that
Yeah.
would
Quite
mean-
irreparable.
Yeah,
that would have
yeah.
ruined the episode if the B plot was Fry trying to break them up.
Yeah.
Like Fry and Bender working
Like very
together.
Pink Panther-y as well. It's
Yeah.
like do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, that would have ruined everything.
We don't want to see that.
What thing was I doing? That wasn't Pink Panther. It's the Odd Couple. Should we
Are
go
you thinking
into
of did it? Wait, oh, I can't
Sean got the song wrong.
Yay. Should we go into a voice?
Yeah.
I think we should hit a bit of Adelaide.
Yeah.
I can't even think of what his voice was.
Look, it doesn't matter. It's going to be adequate no matter what you do.
Okay, Sean. Thank you for that. I don't really know how he
Package
talks.
is just a box
Yeah.
that hasn't been delivered yet.
Average, please.
Personally, I try not to blink too much because it seems flashy. But when I do, oh boy, do I enjoy it.
Oh, such a good line. Yeah, he's got like all the gold in that.
Yeah.
It's Tom Kenny, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Just
glad that...
underplaying it so well.
Like he doesn't
I'm
even
sorry.
blink.
Wrong patient.
Yeah. It's like those comedians that are just completely happy to just deliver it and you're going to get it.
Like Stephen
Yeah.
Wright. I poured spot remover.
Oh,
on
I
my dog
hate
and
Stephen Wright.
disappeared.
Have you heard of it? Stephen Wright's this comedian. He just underplays everything kind of like this. The setup's like this and the punchlines like this. And you're just going to laugh.
And people
Okay.
do. People
And they do. And they do. All right, let's do a bit of a Votey McVote vote. Luck of the Friarish versus the Cyberhouse rules.
We're closer this week.
We are very close.
Okay, this episode is a great episode for like its main plot and its side plot. Its main plot is something like it's a good lesson to be learned. It's not shoving it in your face. It ties up nicely. It's not, apart from Fry being a bit of a dick. I mean, but that's kind of
in keeping with his character.
It's kind of he's trying. He's what Josh said. He's like the everyday man.
It's because he's got that brain thing.
I said that. I don't.
Does anyone have an answer?
Can
so
I,
far?
like-
I have an answer. And
Yeah.
that is the Luck of the Friarish is a better episode for me. It has the great transitions and flashbacks. It hits you right in the feels. Like it has a own lesson to teach about how we interact with family and how we look at our own past and our legacy, I guess. This episode is brilliant. It's hilarious, but I think of it as more like a really excellent normal episode of Futurama. Whereas I think of Luck of the Friarish being a special episode of Futurama that just where everything works.
It's not just an episode. It adds on the mythology,
Yes.
and the history.
In the history, yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this episode. I love it. It's great. I laughed all the way through. I mean, the last week's episode, I was a bit, I wasn't that invested, and that doesn't happen this week. It's so hard to beat a classic.
Luck of the Friarish has like such an amazing payoff. Like everything in that episode leads to this ending, which is just like, and it makes everything that you've watched up to it brilliant. And this episode, everything you watch in this episode is brilliant. If I want to go in and I'm like, I'm happy and I just want to laugh and I'm in a good mood and I just want to see I want to see Daddy Bender just be Daddy Bender and Leela have...
It's a great episode for that. Yeah.
And if at the same time I'm like, you know what, I want to feel something. I want to feel like something a little bit more. Like I'm doing this week's episode. I'm doing the Cyberhouse rules. Okay.
So we got one for Cyberhouse rules and one for Luck of the Friarish.
I'll add Luck of the Friarish. Phil convinced me. He's right.
Ah.
It's very convincing.
Yeah.
Ooh. Find out next week who... Look, when I look at both these episodes, it's really indicative of the fact that I don't know how long we've been talking for, but this is quite a lengthy episode. There's a lot to unpack here, from the little jokes, the little visuals. It's really kind of expertly crafted. It's really expertly directed. It's written tightly. The majority of the characters are given their due weight, with the exception of a few, which are kind of relegated to little cameo voices here and there. Got a great bit character in Adlai.
Tally me banana.
I had cuteness reduction surgery here and here.
I forgot about that. That was that.
And Adelaide's a brilliant villain of the week, per se. Not even a villain, but you know what I mean.
I get what you mean.
Sean, I'm just going to gawk at you.
But Luck of the Friarish is the first true emotional episode we get. True emotional episode that kind of fits into the overarching narrative of Futurama, because it does have a wide arc over those first 4 seasons. And it's one that I remember quite prominently. So for the moment, Luck of the Friarish has to take
It's
collection.
going to be difficult when that gets put up against Jurassic Park, if that's the case.
Is that in this season?
Jurassic Park is season 4.
I mean, that's going to be interesting. We might have to pick the best out of all those
exactly.
bests. It's going to be hard.
Because I'm waiting for Godfellas and I'm waiting for The Sting, because those are 2 episodes that I remember being quite high.
You're just God, the remains of God, with a satellite crashed into it. It's like, that is also true.
Next week, we can see if Luck of the Friarish is going to get toppled when we go visit the planet where the Bugalows roam.
Don't remember this episode.
Really?
No.
This is the Mars Martians one, isn't it? Oh.
Yep. This is
not the wedding episode.
No, this is where we kind of... Yep.
The great stone ass of Mars is the only other entrance.
Yeah. This is where it kind of seems like they might be talking about the Native Americans, maybe, slightly.
Okay, yeah.
With the native headdresses and their accents and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the giant diamond.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But on the plus side, we get more Kif and Amy.
Yeah, okay.
But until that potentially controversial episode, I have been Sean.
I've been Phil.
I've been James.
I've been Josh.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Now we have to pay license fee for that.
No, let's do 5 seconds of it every episode, and then someone can
Just waiting for a
supercut
moment
them.
of space so I can say bye. Hey, Sean. You are the host of this podcast.
Hi,
Hey, Sean.
You're listening to this now.
Hi, Sean. You can include this if you want.
Hey, Sean. If you cut it out, we'll understand. There's Sean. His bladder is awfully full. Hi, Sean. This song's stuck in your head now.
I'm cutting all of this.
No, it's
Yeah, but
fine.
you have to listen to it first to cut it. So.
No, I'll see the peak of volume where it's like, duh, duh.
Okay.
We'll let you know now. If this doesn't make it into the next episode, we're going to be talking about G.I. Joe for the entire next podcast.
G.I. Joe.
But now that you've told me, I know.
Yeah, exactly. But
And knowing's half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Podcast high five.
We really appreciate what you do, even though you do it really badly.
I mean, appreciate's a strong word.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We acknowledge
Yeah.
that you do it.
Yeah.
We understand that you do it.
We wish you could be better at it, but you've what we've got, so...